Okay, completing the square. We're going to solve this quadratic equation 3x squared minus 12x plus 8 is equal to 0 using the method completing the square. First thing I'm going to do, I look at my quadratic term and realize that my coefficient is bigger than 1. Understanding we can only complete one square at a time, that makes me want to really look at the first two terms, because I understand I have to factor out that 3 out of the first two terms only. So let's do that. Get 3 times x squared minus 4x. Let's set it up, because we are asked to complete the square. Set up the problem so that we can complete this square. We can create a perfect square trinomial. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bring down the b. We're going to divide the b by 2. In this case that's a negative 4. I'm going to divide a negative 4 by 2, which gives me a negative 2. This negative 2 needs to be squared, and that square will be added inside the parentheses, and this gives me my perfect square trinomial. However, remember we didn't just add 1 times 4, we have 3 squares, so we added 3 times 4. So what we add inside, we have to subtract outside. I have a perfect square trinomial. I'm going to write that in factored form, which is always x plus or minus depending on this sign. If this is a negative, this will be a negative. My b over 2, my b over 2 is equal to a negative 2. So here is my negative 2. Don't forget the 3, we still have those 3 squares. 8 minus 12 leaves me with a negative 4 is equal to 0. I want to use the square root property. We're after solutions, remember. So in other words, I need to isolate my square. So add the 4. Don't use the square root yet. We still have that 3. So we divide both sides by 3. Gives me x minus 2 squared is equal to 4 over 3. Only now can we use the square root property. Remember, we need 2 solutions. Which gives me x minus 2 on the left hand side, because the square root and the square, they undo each other. And now we're going to rewrite this quotient underneath my radical as the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of the denominator. Make sure you always separate those, just to make sure that you know what is going on here. And write a fraction not next to each other, but with the numerator really on top and the denominator clearly in the bottom. Add 2 to both sides. So my solutions then are x is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root of 4, 2, the denominator square root of 3. This is an irrational number. Do not combine a rational with an irrational number. Remember, they are totally different parts of our real number set. That leaves me then with 2 solutions, 2 plus 2 divided by the square root of 3 and 2 minus 2 divided by the square root of 3. Looking at the type of solutions we have 2 real, irrational solutions. Solutions, roots, graphically, x-intercepts. And that is how we solve a quadratic equation using completing the square.